Kaido versus Shanks. I'm not talking about this from a theoretical power scaling standpoint. I'm talking about the skirmish that they had 2 years ago during the Paramount War in Marineford. If you don't know what I'm talking about for whatever reason, I am talking about the little skirmish that they had, or that we were told of, during Impel Down when Momonga found out about this news. This was also reiterated later on when Shanks pulled up to Marineford, and some of the Marines who saw Shanks when he arrived were questioning how it was possible that Shanks managed to arrive to Marineford so quickly after being involved in a skirmish with one of the other 4 emperors just a few days ago. This, skirmish between Shanks and Kaido is actually a topic of an extreme amount of mystery because there's so many questions that go into this. Why did Kaido want to come to Marineford? Why did Shanks stop him? How did Shanks manage to get to Marineford so quickly from the New World? How was it possible for one to travel so quickly through the seas? There is a lot of mystery revolving around this topic of Shanks vs Kaido 2 years ago, and in this video I'm going to try and answer most of the questions revolving that skirmish, and I'm actually going to tie in Yamato, who we met in the latest chapter of One Piece, into this discussion. So this is basically a theoretical discussion about what happened 2 years ago between Shanks and Kaido and how Yamato was involved in their skirmish. If you're expecting an extremely intricate theory that's gonna blow your mind, this is not it. This is just an idea I came up with that seems really plausible, and I could see us actually finding out about the Shanks vs Kaido conflict over the next few chapters. The reason I say this is because we know Yamato is directly connected to Ace and was actually a very good friend of Ace a few years ago. We don't know the details of Yamato and Ace's relationship. They could have just been close friends, they could have been, rivals to some degree, or they could have been in an intimate relationship. We have no idea. But what we do know is Yamato knew Ace, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that they were very good friends to the point that Yamato would try to escape Wano and go to Marineford herself to try and save Ace from the execution. Considering Yamato is the daughter of Kaido, and this news, right, the news of Ace's execution, as well as the war between the Whitebeard pirates and the Navy headquarters, this is some massive news that's literally going to shake the world. This is news that we know Kaido had access to, and I'd like to think that Yamato also knew of this news. Now, I can see why one would disagree, because Tama, at the start of the arc, she never knew about Ace's death. She thought he was alive and that he was going to come back one day and, recruit her onto the Spade Pirates, but some shit happened, and we all know that poor Ace has passed away. He got turned into a donut. But Tama never knew this, and this gave us a really cool, gut-punching emotional moment at the start of Act 1. A lot of people were suggesting that the same thing could happen with Yamato, where she doesn't know, and Luffy tells her here that Ace is dead, and I mean, that would be awesome. I'd actually love that, seeing how Yamato would react to that, and seeing Luffy have to once again reiterate that Ace is dead. But considering the scale of the Paramount War, and the fact that Yamato is the daughter of Kaido, and is probably always around Kaido and the Beast Pirates, you would assume that she would get hold of this kind of information. This is some big news. Even though Wano is cut off from the rest of the world, this is still the daughter of Kaido who should have access to this sort of information. So I'm gonna say Yamato knew of this information and attempted to run away from Wano, and successfully left Wano and made her own journey towards Marineford to try and save Ace from being executed. The reason I am trying to involve Yamato into this is because I am trying to think of a justification for Kaido wanting to involve himself in the Marineford War. But the thing is, there are multiple different justifications you can come up with. We know Kaido wants to die and he wants to see a massive war that encompasses the world, and this could have been it for him. He might have seen the fact that Whitebeard, the great pirate that he looked up to once upon a time, is going to war against the entire Navy headquarters and the 7 Royal Shichibukai, and that made him think, this is the time for me to join and perhaps come to my end and get the death that I've been looking for. But my only issue with this justification for Kaido trying to get involved in the war is that why didn't he just keep going? Why did Shanks manage to stop Kaido? How did Shanks manage to console him and tell him this isn't the place for you to find this massive war you're looking for? Because nobody truly thinks that Shanks and Kaido had a fight here, right? If you do think that Shanks, or even the entirety of the red-haired pirates, jumped Kaido at once, then let me quickly explain why this is a crazy stance for you to take. Repeatedly in the Wano arc so far, the Zoan users' durabilities have been emphasized to be something else. They are extremely impressive when it comes to durability and endurance. Jack went 5 days against the two Minks. That should be enough for you. And Kaido seemingly has the most impressive Zoan Devil Fruit out. Now, obviously there's the discussion regarding Kaido and whether or not he actually has a devil fruit or if he's just a dragon who ate an Oni fruit, but regardless, I think that it is safe for us to say that Kaido has that dragon devil fruit, right? And even if he doesn't have a devil fruit, he would still be a dragon some way or somehow, which should grant him an immense amount of durability, or a very impressive durability and endurance. So the same Kaido, right? The same Kaido who fought against Big Mom for multiple days and they didn't even have any scratches on each other by the end of it, that same Kaido was subdued and seemingly defeated by Shanks, or you could even say by the entirety of the red-haired pirates. I don't mind if you add all of them, even add Beckman, Rue, Yasop, all of them together, jumping Kaido at once. And you're telling me they managed to defeat this guy in just a day and leave the fight with no visible wounds or scars? They didn't even look bruised up. They looked perfectly fine. They looked like they just stepped out of the shower when they arrived at Marineford. So the entire Shanks fighting Kaido thing, I think we can throw that out of the window. But the issue with that is, Kaido's a very aggressive guy. He comes across as somebody who doesn't listen to reason. And if he wants to go to Marineford for this massive war, and he wants to go there because it's a stage for him to die, then Shanks must have come up with something really smart, something really elaborate, in order for Kaido to listen, and for Kaido to be consoled, and for Kaido to turn around and go back to Wano and say, this is not the day. Whatever Shanks did, it must have been big. Because, you know, to do this to Kaido of all people, to be able to change Kaido's mind, you have to come up with something good. And that's why over the last few years, or even over the last decade, there has been an abundance of theories talking about what sort of agreement Kaido and Shanks came to. And a good friend of mine, Dritz, came up with the theory that Kaido was gifted a poneglyph, one of the road poneglyphs, by Shanks, and that is the way Shanks basically bought Kaido's compliance, and that's the way that he got Kaido to go home and leave this war alone. Because we know Shanks, he is somebody who doesn't like to see unnecessary bloodshed. That was his entire thing. When he came to Marineford and he had this huge speech, that was the point of it all. And that isn't to say that Shanks is completely against violence. He definitely is not. In the very first chapter of the series, Lucky Roo popped somebody and blew their brains out because of the threat that they posed towards Shanks. So we know he isn't completely against violence, but we know that unnecessary casualties is something that he doesn't like. And that is why he pulled up to Marineford and tried to speak some reason to everybody and tell the Navy to hold back and tell the Whitebeard pirates to hold back too. This is it. It's done now. And if Kaido were to come, that just adds so many issues to everything. Kaido's presence is something you cannot just disregard. He's gonna be going crazy. And we don't know if Kaido was accompanied by the rest of the Beast Pirates. Imagine King, Queen, Jack, the Flying Six, as well as Kaido himself, rocking up to Marineford. You really think it's gonna be that simple for them to just end this war? And that is why Shanks was busy and accompanied with Kaido, and that's why they got into a little skirmish. Now, when it comes to Kaido and justifying why he wanted to leave Wano and Yamato, I am willing to propose the idea that Kaido left Wano to pursue his daughter, who ran away from home basically, to go to the war and go and save Ace. So picture this. Yamato leaves Wano, makes her way towards Marineford. Kaido finds out and follows her towards Marineford. Shanks hears of the news that Kaido is making moves towards Marineford, and based off of what Shanks himself knows about Kaido and Kaido's demeanor and personality and attitude, he comes to the same conclusion that the Marines came to. The opinion of the Navy headquarters regarding Kaido was that Kaido meant to take this opportunity to eliminate Whitebeard. So Shanks might have thought the exact same thing the Navy thought, and he moved to stop him in order to try and stop the conflict at Marineford being even bigger than it already was. But in actuality, Kaido wasn't really trying to go and join this war, he was trying to collect his daughter. And that is how Shanks managed to buy his compliance. Shanks managed to get his hands on Yamato and deliver her back to Kaido, and that is how he basically, got Kaido to listen to him and make his way back to Wano and not involve himself in this already massive, game-changing, and quite literally earth-shattering war. So let me know what you guys think of this explanation, and if you guys like this sort of justification, because when it comes to Shanks vs Kaido, this is a topic of extreme mystery. We really don't know what happened, and this is something that needs to be addressed at a certain point in the series. This is a plot thread that has been a part of the series since Impel Down, and fans have wondered what happened between Shanks and Kaido for over a decade now. A lot of fans, including myself, were expecting us to get the answers regarding this conflict maybe later on in Shanks' arc, when we finally meet him, when we finally find out how he is able to travel across the world so quickly. But with the introduction of Yamato being somebody who is a close friend to Ace, I felt like this justification makes a lot of sense. So this is the chain of events I could see this occurring in. 1. Yamato finds out that Ace is about to be executed in Marineford. 2. Yamato leaves Wano and makes her way towards Marineford to try and save Ace. 3. Kaido leaves Wano in pursuit of Yamato. 4. The Navy as well as Shanks get wind of Kaido's movement and expect him to make his way towards Marineford for the sole purpose of warfare, of trying to either eliminate Whitebeard or fight against the Marines, or just for entertainment. They expect Kaido to come to Marineford because he wants to fight. 6, and this is where it gets a bit tricky because you can justify this in a number of ways, but I would say Shanks and Kaido butt heads and they quickly have a clash or something, just a quick little skirmish, and that is why the rest of the world knows of Shanks and Kaido's skirmish. And then Kaido ends up telling Shanks, I have no time for you. I'm trying to collect my daughter. And that's when Shanks realizes what Kaido's true intentions are, and Shanks tries to assist Kaido in, getting Yamato back. And that is how him and the redhead pirates retrieve Yamato and deliver Yamato to Kaido, buying Kaido's compliance and sending Kaido back home. Another possibility for this is that they don't even have a skirmish or clash, they don't even fight at all, and Shanks just sees Yamato before he gets to Kaido and gives her back to him that way. Who knows how that exactly happened, but this is just a theory. This is just an idea that I'm throwing out here because Yamato gotta be involved in Marineford somehow, right? And Kaido and Shanks had their whole little skirmish. And this just ties so much things together. If we get that justification for Kaido versus Shanks here through Yamato, that could be extremely satisfying and make a lot of narrative sense because Yamato was a good friend of Ace, and Yamato leaving Wano to go and try and save Ace is within character based off of what we can tell from now and based off of what I perceive to be a very friendly relationship between Yamato and Ace. Let me know what you guys think of this idea in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more One Piece content. I have been Fiji. Peace.